State of Crypto is presented by Tron, connecting the world to the power of cryptocurrency.
The Financial Stability Board has issued what it's calling a comprehensive international rulebook for crypto. Joining us now to break this down is CoinDesk regulatory reporter Jack Schickler. Jack, welcome. Let's just start out with some context here. What exactly is the Financial Stability Board, and why does it matter what they are proposing?
Right. So the Financial Stability Board is a kind of members organization that sets standards for the financial sector. It was particularly influential after the 2008 crash, if anyone remembers that, and saying, you know, how can we kind of set the rules for the financial sector so this kind of disaster doesn't happen again? It's not a regulator itself. It doesn't have enforcement power. It can't go march into a company and say, you're fine, you've broken the rules. But its members are pretty influential. So it includes people like Gary Gensler of the SEC, the Federal Reserve, someone from the US Treasury, and plenty of other jurisdictions all around the world as well. So the EU has a membership. Name a big company, certainly any of the big 20 economies in the world will have a representative at the FSB. So if they say something, it doesn't happen straight away, but it's a pretty good guideline that all these jurisdictions are going to start legislating. Obviously, it can't force Congress to act. It can't force the kind of federal activity that we've just been hearing about from the previous guest. But it is definitely giving a nudge. And what it came out with this morning was, as you said, a really comprehensive guideline that says crypto companies, it's time to stop playing in the sandbox. You need to have rules for your sector, just like the traditional finance sector does.
So can you just break down as sort of simply and concisely as possible what exactly it is that they are proposing?
Yeah, of course. It's not a detailed set of rules. It doesn't look like, you know, a congressional bill would look, or like, you know, legislation would look at the national level. But it's a set of pretty detailed principles that leaves room for individual countries or regions of the world to decide how they want to regulate crypto. But there's a couple of areas where you can already see implementing these guidelines is going to be a bit of a shock for the crypto world. One of the things they get into in a lot of detail is stablecoins. After the disaster that happened with Terra USD earlier this year, they say a lot of the stablecoins already out there are not meeting existing norms. They're not stable. They're not doing everything they can to protect investors and keep their value. So they're going to toughen those norms even further. And you've also seen pretty interesting action against crypto conglomerates, what you might call big companies that combine lots of different kinds of services: brokerage, wallets, trading, lending, custody. The FSB doesn't actually name any companies, so I'm not going to now, but you can all probably think of a couple of companies that do one or more of those functions. And actually what the FSB comes out and says is some of these companies are already breaking the law, because you're not allowed to mix these different kind of services in traditional finance. And in a lot of cases, you're not allowed to do that with crypto either. So it says the authority should already be going out and enforcing those rules and making sure that these conglomerates are not unlawfully mixing different kinds of crypto service.
So are you getting the sense that the FSB has a good grasp of how cryptocurrency technology works and how it's different?
Yeah, well, that's a good question. And as we just heard, you know, in a lot of cases, there's analog rules for a digital era. And maybe the FSB is the same. I mean, they do go into quite a lot of detail about just how Terra USD worked and why it failed and what its flaws were. And it's come out and said basically, you know, it didn't work because it was using an algorithm to stabilize its value, and that just does not work as a stabilization mechanism. So it's come out pretty explicitly and said, no more algorithmic stable coins. This is not going to be a tool you can use in the future if you want to be a legally recognized stable coin. That's already pretty big, and they've already kind of analyzed what's been going on in crypto land. In other areas like decentralized finance, you kind of get the sense they haven't really got to grips with it yet. All they really say about it is, we don't know how to deal with this because it's decentralized. So who do we as regulators talk to? Who's the guy we go and make register? Who do we fine if something goes wrong? So they don't really know how decentralized finance either works or can be regulated. They said they'll probably come back to that issue next year. There's definitely some FSB members who are pushing for them to be a bit more quick on that issue. But so far, they can't really decide what they want to do.
Could there be a start of a crackdown on TradeFi institutions against crypto?
Well, it's not the first time we've heard traditional finance institutions, banks saying, we have all these regulatory obligations. Why don't these crypto guys have to follow them too? And we're seeing it in kind of financial regulation, but we're also seeing it in other areas like tax. In fact, just yesterday, the OECD came out with a report saying, for many years, for the best part of a decade, you haven't been able to keep a secret bank account overseas. The tax authorities will report it to your home jurisdiction. So no more stashing funds in Switzerland. And now they're going to apply those rules to crypto too. So if you've got a Swiss crypto account or in any other jurisdiction, you won't be able to keep that secret from the IRS or your home tax authority anymore. That's the idea, because they're saying cryptocurrency needs to play by the rules that traditional finance does as well.